there, and welcome to our first look at Planet Zoo. My name's Ms.RedNebula, and this just dropped this morning from Frontier that their next game that they're going to be releasing sometime in the fall of this year is going to be Planet Zoo. This is a completely new game. It's not a DLC for Planet Coaster, although you'll see a lot of similarities to Planet Coaster in it. It looks like they took the engine, kind of a bumped up version of it, because of course at this point Planet Coaster's a couple of years old, and there's going to be a lot of things that they can really bump up in terms of how is the rendering engine going to be done. Are we going to see some differences how the path system works, how fencing systems work, all sorts of different things. What kinds of things have they looked at in terms of what they've done with Planet Coaster in the past and gone, okay, now we know what our audience is really interested in. How can we redo this and really make it into something brand new for our next generations of games? Because of course, looking toward the future, we're probably still going to see, I don't think that Planet Coaster is going to be the end of it. You've got, we all know Roller Coaster Tycoon didn't end with Roller Coaster Tycoon, and Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is probably the most popular one that they ever had. So, Planet Coaster 2, hopefully? I'd love to see what in this game we might be able to look forward to in the next Planet Coaster game as well. That's all neither here nor there. Let's talk about Planet Zoo. So it turns out that they've been sneakily working on a new sort of Zoo Tycoon type of game. We've got lions, we've got elephants, we've got bears, we've got wolves. I even saw a little lemur hiding in the background during the trailer. Now the trailer is not actual gameplay footage, it's all pre-rendered, but I think that if they're showing things in the trailer, like Frontier has always been really good about kind of sneaking in those little things in the trailer that sharp-eyed viewers can see, and those actually end up being things that are in the game. First off, let's talk about the one big thing, and I already have a confirmed answer on this, is, oh my gosh, there's a Planet Zoo's coming out there, here's this announcement, is this the end of Planet Coaster? No. Absolutely not. And what I was going to say before was that this was just my opinion. I don't think that they're going to stop on Planet Coaster. But in fact, during the live stream today, Stegs flat out said, no, they still have a team working on Planet Coaster. We're not going to stop seeing content for Planet Coaster anytime soon. And I think that follows. I mean, they're still putting out content for Elite Dangerous this long out from when that game was first released. So is Planet Coaster going away? Absolutely not. We can still enjoy that game that I know we all love. Also, why is this a brand new game and not a DLC? Now, this actually makes sense to me, and I'm really glad that they're doing it this way. And first off is the thing that I've already mentioned, that you have an engine. When you create a game in an engine, you kind of have to stick with the engine that you created your game in at the start. Cobra is their own engine, but it doesn't mean that it's an immutable thing. It's constantly evolving over time. I believe that Jurassic World Evolution was created in Cobra, but the things that are being done in Jurassic World are different from the things that they were capable of doing in Planet Coaster. So Planet Coaster is kind of limited by its own engine. I'm also glad because this means that we can see a much more fleshed out game. Like if this was released as a DLC or even a full expansion to Planet Coaster, I think we'd probably just be limited to the animals we got straight out of the gate. And this way, we can see some future potential DLCs for them to release. Animal packs, additional packs of scenery, all sorts of things. It's also not limited to Planko's style. I mean, in the screenshots and everything that we're seeing so far, that all of the people look like the Planko people for the most part, maybe a little bit more advanced than them. I personally don't mind that. I think that it kind of fits in with the overall theme, but you also have that, everything in Planet Coaster up to now has been in Planko, in terms of the language, has all been spoken in Planko, but what's the first thing we see in this trailer, or rather, what's the first thing we hear in this trailer, is it's being sung in English. I really love the song, by the way. The music in Frontier's games never disappoints. it does mean that it gives them the opportunity to kind of branch out from Planet Coaster's style, and especially as we see with the animals, you have these beautiful, realistic-looking animals. So I'm really happy to see that, cartoony is all well and good, but these things look great. They look absolutely beautiful. I'm a huge fan of going around to zoos, and especially zoos that are more in tune with the kind of modern ideas of conservation and making sure that you have breeding programs for animals that might otherwise be in serious danger of not existing anymore. Places that are setting up their enclosures with the animals in mind first, and if you go there as a zoo visitor and you never get to see that animal because they're just not having a good day and they don't want to be in front of people, fine, they're gonna keep hiding and you don't get to see them, but it's for the animal's benefit that that's even a possibility. I also wanted to do a little bit of a compare and contrast to the sorts of things that we already have in Planet Coaster and the sorts of things that are available in Jurassic World Evolution. What does this game bring to the table that is similar or different to those other games? Well, first off, when they first announced this, my first thought was, okay, is this kind of going to be like Jurassic World Evolution, where where you're limited in the types of buildings that you can create? No, it looks like this is going to be fully, you have all of the ability to create modular buildings and paths and everything else, just like Planet Coaster. The building style in this looks like it's going to be very similar and very familiar to that Planco style that we already know and love, which means the kinds of things that we can create in this game are going to be, we've seen the kind of creativity that comes out of Planet Coaster. This is just going to be that times zoo, You also have all of the, like I said, the pathing, you've got your benches, you've got your bins and your light poles and all of that stuff. In this case, we're also going to get animals that are actually animals, that act like animals. Everything in Planet Coaster, no matter whether or not it's got the old animatronic stick up its bum, all of the animals that we've got in Planet Coaster are, in essence, animatronics. They have no ability to act in any different way, it's just the same animation playing over and over again. And the animals in this game are going to act like animals. You've got male and female that we've been able to see in the trailer. You've got baby animals. They have personalities. They have toys that they can play with, so you've got some animal enrichment going on in these. We're also seeing animals that are interacting with their environments, like the bears taking a swim in a pool of water, and in one of the screenshots you can see one of the elephants taking a swim. There's also an elephant that looks as though it might have just gotten out of the water or playing in the mud, because you can see a difference in the textures on him that look like part of him is still a little bit damp from the water and part of him was dry and outside the water. You've also got some really nice looking ground cover like grasses and things, which we did have ground cover in Jurassic World, but we didn't have anything like that in Planet Coaster. In addition, we've got some weather going on here. So that means that they'll have to have figured things out, like one of the things that they always said was not going to make weather possible in Planet Coaster was having the rain be able to know whether it was colliding with a building or things like that. In this game, it looks like they've got that figured out, because if you're going to have caves, if you're going to have buildings but also have weather effects, then you have to have some way of knowing, is this person or this animal undercover at this time? Rain is not going to be going through a cave and hitting the ground underneath it. That just wouldn't make any sense. The last thing I wanted to say in terms of comparing to especially a game like Jurassic World Evolution is that here we don't have an IP actually holding Frontier back from what they're capable of. Like, it always seemed to me that what people wanted out of a game like Jurassic World Evolution was the ability to make these enclosures for these animals and have them actually acting the part of animals, but what the game really feels like is more, here are these animals and here's all this intrigue and potential sabotage and stuff going on behind the scenes, which is interesting, don't get me wrong, but it's not really the sort of zoo tycoon with dinosaurs that I think some of us were kind of expecting. Being able to really do their own thing and focus on the kind of game that Frontier wants to create, I think is going to be really valuable. You can also see in the trailer that you've got zoo staff giving a talk, you've got staff feeding the animals, maybe potentially cleaning up after them. And we have at least a confirmation on one ride. There you can see a train in the background of this screenshot. And hopefully we'll see a few more rides in it, although I don't expect to see anything nearly as extensive, obviously, as Planet Coaster, and probably not going to see your Busch Gardens style putting roller coasters in with your animals and stuff. And I think that that's good, and you really want to keep the focus on what it should be, but having like a little safari train that goes around, or safari jeep vehicles, anything like that I think would fit in really, really nicely. Maybe a carousel, because you always see carousels in zoos. Also wanted to touch briefly on some things that you've got over on the website for Planet Zoo. They mention things here like craft detailed habitats to bring your animals' natural environments home, research and manage each species to allow them to thrive, and help your animals raise families to pass their genes on to future generations. So we've got what sounds like breeding your animals and having, obviously we've seen like some baby animals already in the trailers, but that breeding would actually be a part of the game is really cool. And under the management section, there's some even more interesting stuff talking about, okay, so thrill your visitors with iconic exhibits, develop your zoo with new research, and release new generations of your animals back into the wild. Your choices come alive in a world where animal welfare and conservation comes first. Now that really goes back to what I was saying about kind of the best kind of zoos are the ones that I really enjoy, are the ones that put the animals first, and the idea of being able to potentially breed animals to be released into the wild is a really cool concept to bring into this. And here we've got a bit of a confirmation talking about the piece-by-piece construction tools, so again, the very Planko style of building. Let your imagination run wild as you dig lakes and rivers, raise hills and mountains, carve paths and caves, and build stunning zoos with a choice of unique themes and hundreds of building components. I definitely want to point out where it said about rivers there. It would be very nice to see us have the ability to actually create running rivers in this as well. Here's hoping. And just like we're sharing things out on the workshop with Planet Coaster, they sounds like they've got everything fully integrated where we can share stuff out there with this as well. But if you're going to have the ability to share habitats, really there's no way to do that without being able to bring in terrain. So here's hoping that's something that they've been able to figure out. Because with Planet Coaster, of course, we've never been able to share any of the terrain work or the path work that we've done. It would be really, really cool to be able to do that in this new game. Overall, though, this was a really nice surprise to wake up to this morning. I had no idea that Frontier was planning to release any information on an upcoming game this soon, and it's not going to be really that long in the grand scheme of things before this is released. Sometime in fall this year, don't know an exact date or anything yet, but I'll be sure to keep updated as far as when they tell us anything else about this. About the only thing I'm a little bit sad about, or I think poignant might be the better word, is, you know, we've spent some time, me and a few other people have spent some time creating animals for the TMT for Planet Coaster, and then here comes Frontier and shows especially me up by quite a lot by creating these gorgeous, beautifully rendered, full of personality, and I gotta step up my game, guys. I really do. I've got until whenever this comes out to keep making some really cool stuff for Planet Coaster, so let's see what we can do. Alright, so that's it for this one. Feel free to like, comment, or subscribe if you want to follow along, and check out my Patreon for sneak peeks and other perks. A huge thank you to my current patrons. That's all for now, guys. Bye!